want your investor to invest again and again. What have they launched? What have they exited? Who have they worked for? Who have they co-invested with? Any investor worth their weight should be able to tell you the best way to test this out is actually to ask for something. Hi Digital Chiefs, welcome back. There's a lot of information out there on raising capital, and most of it concentrates on investors doing due diligence on the startup founders. But there's not much information out there on how to do the opposite. How do you be smart about picking the right investors for you and your startup? Raising capital is a long-term relationship. Typically, a big exit will take 5 to 10 or more years if you're lucky. Ideally, you want your investor to invest again and again in your future follow-on rounds. A good investor comes with much more than capital, and a bad investor will feel like chains around your feet. So whenever you can, spend a little bit of time vetting them and ensuring you want to be in a long-term business relationship with them. Here are some ways you could do this. 1, look at their past investments. This is a pretty basic check. You can normally find these on their website, socials, and Crunchbase if they are a US fund or even AngelList. Are these investments complementary to yours or potentially conflicting? What is the quantum of money they normally invest? That'll guide you to the ability for them to write you a smaller size check or a larger one. What stage of companies do they normally invest in, and what is the size of their overall fund? I covered this in a lot more detail in my online course, so if you haven't had a look at that, make sure you check that out. Links are in the description. Have a look at the management team as the second way to vet them. What have they launched? What have they exited? Who have they worked for? Who have they co-invested with? It's perfectly okay to have failures in investment and to have different sector expertise, but is there a sense of completion in their work? Is there a lot of company changes? I'd say a lot of company hopping or shorter than 3-year stints is a bit of a concern if they're in an executive role, particularly if they're working for a corporate venture fund or a CVC. Even at a director and manager level, a lot of 1-year stints is also a red flag where the management team is set up slightly differently. I have a full video explaining the differences between a CVC and a traditional VC fund. So if you don't understand the difference, make sure you have a look at that video. Number 3, portfolio fails. Try to understand which investments or parts of their portfolio have not performed well. If it's not obvious, you can ask them directly. Any investor worth their weight should be able to tell you, and in an unemotional way, why certain investments didn't work. Call these founders. Do reference checks like you would with any employee you're hiring. Having 1 or 2 relationships go sour is pretty normal for a VC fund, but if a lot of founders of failed portfolio startups have nothing positive to say, this is certainly a concern. On the other end, if they still only have positive things to say, then this is a great validation for the investor. Number 4, values match. You'll need to decide which values are the most important to you and your business, whether honesty, integrity, diversity, perhaps even responsiveness are important to your company. Don't just listen to what they've told you. Make sure you assess them by their actions. I once decided against attending a well-known MBA program because the moderator of the event, who happened to be a male and the program lead, kept directing all the balancing having a family and children and the MBA completion questions to the female panelists, while all the career growth, progression and networking questions were directed to the male panelist. It was really quite off-putting because the actual program advocated about diversity and inclusion. During the latter part of the session, the male panelists actually revealed that they also had a young child while completing his MBA. So don't just listen to what they say and what is presented in media headlines and value statements. Make sure you watch their action. Number 5, responsiveness. I've already touched on this a little earlier on. However, for a fast-moving startup, I wanted to explain this part in a little bit more detail. The best way to test this out is actually to ask for something, particularly something that they can't provide an answer to you straight away. Do they at least say they will get back to you, and when? Do they do what they say they're going to do without you needing to follow up? Were they on time? If they were a little delayed with responses, did they keep you updated? While no one is perfect, VCs are busy also. Take note if they're always missing their deadlines, their targets, or have simply gone MIA. What's their communication style? Are they boastful but unable to deliver on promises? Fortunately, a lot of VCs can be like this. They will talk a lot but not actually deliver. If they have a tendency to be late and unresponsive to you prior to investing, I can assure you it won't be any different once they've invested. If anything, it's a sure sign that they aren't actually really interested. I've seen VCs really chase good deals, bend over backwards for these founders, and get deals done very, very quickly. So again, before you take on their investment, ask yourself, is this how you want to communicate with them over the next 5 to 10 years? So there it is, 5 ways you can vet an investor. Hopefully this has helped you better separate the appropriate and inappropriate investors for your startup. As mentioned, if you're looking to increase the number of investors to choose from, you might want to check out my online course, Raising Your First Round of Funding. There's reasons why you should spend time vetting investors, and I go through this in a lot more detail in my next video, reasons why you shouldn't raise investment capital. Some of these might surprise you.